The moment David Martinez stopped living for himself, I knew his death was inevitable in Cyberpunk Edgerunners. David Martinez was always going to die. And honestly, I believe with all my heart that Cyberpunk Edgerunners is never really a show meant to focus around cyberpsychosis. I believe Cyberpunk Edgerunners is always meant to showcase the loneliness and the cruelty of the world around us. In the show, we follow David, a nobody in Night City. And that's exactly what made him feel real. And he's not just some random chosen one. He's not special. He's just a kid trying to survive in a city that barely notices him. And honestly, I think a lot of people understand that feeling. Going through life not really knowing who you're supposed to become. Watching everyone around you move forward when you feel stuck. And that is just David. When his mom dies, David loses more than just a parent. He loses direction. He loses the future he thought he was supposed to have. For the first time, he sees Night City for what it truly is. A city where people only matter as long as they're useful and they can pay their way to the top. That's when Lucy enters David's life. And honestly, Lucy wasn't just David's love interest. She's the first person who actually sees him. She sees David for who he really is. And she loves and appreciates David for just being him. And that last point is a point I want to emphasize. Lucy didn't love David because he was a student of Arasaka and that she thought they could use him, or because of his potential with the Sandavestan. She loved him for just being him, for just being David. And that's what's really important about the relationship. A lot of people go through life feeling emotionally disconnected. Even though you talk to people every day, sometimes it just feels lonely. And when you finally find someone who understands you, you want to hold on to that relationship as tight as possible, and you don't want to ever let them go. It's not because you don't want to let them go, it's because you're scared. You're scared deep down that if you ever let them go, that you'll never find a relationship like that ever again. You'll never find that person who truly understands you. And I feel like that's true of David Martinez. That's why Lucy becomes everything to him, because once David loses his mother, he slowly stops being himself, and her dream becomes his dream. And that's really the tragedy of his character. David never really truly exists and lives for himself. He always lives, dreams, and fights for the wishes and dreams of others, such as his mother and Lucy. The stronger he becomes, the less human he feels. Every implant makes him more powerful, but it also pushes him further away from who he used to be. To David, Maine wasn't just a mentor. He was a warning, a glimpse into what David was eventually going to become if he kept going down the same path. But David ignores the warning anyway, because for the first time in his life, he has something to protect, something to fight for, since the dream of going to Arasaka died with his mother. And he felt that destroying himself actually made his life important and made it possible to get to that dream and to make everyone's wishes come true. The crew gave David purpose. For the first time in his life, he felt like he belonged somewhere. But Night City punishes people who care too much. The more David tried to protect everyone around him, the more he destroyed himself in the process. And in the end, David gives up everything just to make Lucy's dream come true. The dream of the one person he truly loved in Night City. That's why the show hurts so much. Not because the ending is shocking. The show kind of implies, and it's easy to see that David would die by the end of the show. But what's really sad and what really hurts you in the end, seeing that David finally found peace. He found happiness and a purpose in Night City together with Lucy and the crew. And in the end, everything gets taken from him. He loses everything. And that is the tragedy of David. And by the time Lucy makes it to the moon, the person she truly loved, and the only person she felt she can relate to in Night City, was no longer beside her. In a city where everyone is trying to just become someone, David was one person who was fighting just to be someone that mattered.